Hi everyone, we'll get started in just a second. Alrighty. Hi everyone. Waiting for my co-host to arrive here. Okay. All right. Hi. All right, everybody. We're going to get this started here. We're going to start by introducing ourselves. So, my name is Mackenzie Adrians. I'm the Assistant Director of Experiential Learning in the Center for Career and Professional Development. Go ahead, Makara.
I'm Makara. I'm a career advocate in the CCPD, so I help with resume and drop-in interviews, reviews.
Yes. Yes, perfect. And Makara, as a career advocate, also typically sits at our front desk and serves all of you as you come in the office. And since we're working virtually here now, we decided to meet you all here on Instagram. So this is our first of several career cares. Hi, everybody. Thanks for saying hello. First of several career cares workshops, which we'll have over Instagram. And basically what we're going to cover, and thank you all for joining, is that we are going to answer your questions live. If you have questions, we've also, Makara knows, we've received some questions from you based on the topic of the day, and which is internships. And so Career Cares is just going to be an open forum, time to answer your questions and help with personal and professional development. And we thought it'd be great to have both a current student. Makara, you're a junior, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rising senior is what I'm putting now. But yeah.
Rising senior, yes. Rising senior, studying communication design. And so we'll answer your questions as we go, but we're going to talk about internships today, just for a quick little 20-minute get together with all of you and with both of us. So, okay, so we'll just get started. Like I said, we have some questions from you all already. And so the question we've received most often since we started this working from home and classes from home have been, our internships still happening, right? Have you been hearing that as well, Makara?
Yeah. Internships? I'm asking that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And Makara, hi, Alex. Hi, everybody. Makara, as a rising senior, has also been looking for your own internships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. What have you been noticing?
So right now everyone's just on a hiring freeze. So there's a lot of unknowns. They want to say internships are still happening, but no one really knows.
Okay, yeah, and we've been, thank you all. Thanks so much, y'all, for joining. Really excited to see some current students, alumni, and friends out there, and staff members as well. I think you make a good point. A lot of this is unknown, and we're kind of discovering things as we go along. And because a lot is unknown in the world, it's a little bit challenging to plan for the future in some aspects. What we've been hearing in the CCPD, so in the Career Center, is that for the most part, internships are still happening, which I think is encouraging. The big change has been from the vast majority, at least at Pratt, as having internships in person, where you, like you had last semester, where you go to your internship site and you meet with your supervisor. A lot of them are transitioning to virtual internships. Have you been seeing that as you've been searching?
Somewhat, yeah. I'll just kind of say remote or remote option maybe. It's very because I think everyone would prefer an in-person internship, so they don't want to declare it to be remote, and then they're like, oh, well, it could be in person.
Yeah, and I think what we'll talk about today, especially with the questions we received, is that different industries operate in different ways. So especially for you as someone who's studying communication design, these types of virtual internships may have already existed and may really highlight some skills that you already have, like all the programs you know how to use, the Photoshops, the illustrators, and things to that nature. But in other majors, it's a little bit maybe unknown, like our fine art students. That might be a really big challenge to imagine how virtual internships might look for them.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that. We can talk about the unknowns. We can talk about maybe the discomfort with that too, but we can also have hope in the fact that we've been hearing from employers that they plan to have their internships too.
Mm-hmm.
So our internships still happening? I would say for the most part, yes. I think Makara makes a good point that some companies are on hiring freezes. Unfortunately, the reality of this situation is that some companies have had to make cuts and they've had to lay people off, and that's really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say that that does make the case maybe even more encouraging for interns to come in and help in places where they may not have had that opportunity in the past. So we might see that as days continue. But hopefully, for the most part, yes, transitioning to those virtual type platforms too.
Yeah, and then I was talking with like one of my professors, and he was saying like his agency doesn't like to do unpaid interns, and because they're not making
Yeah.
money right now, therefore they're probably not going to have internships. So that also causes a huge problem.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that you make. And a question that I receive from students all the time is like, how can I get a paid internship?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we encourage in the CCPD. If we could encourage every student to have a paid internship, that's what we would encourage. I think I can speak to this experience from when I was in undergrad or in grad school. I think you can speak to this as well. You can gain a lot of great experiences from unpaid internships too, right? Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit? Like what your experience has been like?
So I've had now two unpaid internships.
Yeah.
And so I've done it through the Pratt internship course,
Yeah.
in order to receive credit for it. So I'm receiving something for it, so that way it's
Yeah.
legal.
Yeah.
Um,
Important. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I've gained a lot of experience. I had some really cool opportunities. I mean, I'm really grateful for it. I just, for summertime especially, I think that's a little harder to have an unpaid internship versus a paid internship.
Absolutely. No, you make an absolute important point, especially for those students who maybe plan to stay in New York City, or I've
Mm-hmm.
heard from a couple students like, oh, I plan to get an apartment with my family member or with a friend. And that can be really maybe even sometimes impossible with unpaid internships.
Yeah.
So it's something we're always considering. And frankly, that's something that we talk to employers about as well, is
Mm-hmm.
that our students are talented and you all have skill sets that just amaze me every day. And so paid internships are what we would really encourage, if possible. And if not, like you said, your experience was for credit. We
Yeah.
can talk about that process as well. I think one of the questions that I've received, especially in the last few weeks, is like, can my internship happen as it was originally planned? And I think the reality of that is maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
I know you and I were talking about internship searches before this all began, and you were looking even out of state. And some of that has had to change, right, in terms of planning.
Oh yeah, I don't even know like what my location wise has completely changed,
Yeah.
and what I want has kind of changed because you can't be in person, most likely, so it makes
Yeah.
things a lot harder.
Yeah. And so Pratt's official response to this from the provost's office for the spring semester was that all in-person internships need to stop immediately. So that was
Yeah.
back in March. We received that communicator. We know that that's happening. And because of the way that things are progressing with online classes for the summertime that we know of right now, and every day is changing, I have a feeling that we'll need to reconsider those in-person internships just for the safety of students for the summertime as well. So in speaking with faculty and speaking with other staff at Pratt, it's more than likely that internships will be remote over the summer as well, or virtual over the summer as well. And so that takes things into consideration about coming up with alternative projects and experiences and options, and looking into those things, maybe things like you said that you've never really thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of those interests in terms of experiences might change a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And thank you all. I see you all writing as well. Yes, we'll absolutely get to your questions as well. And actually, we can We can take some of these now as they're coming in live. One of the comments we received is, that's helpful. Employers seem to be adapting. It's so interesting. I was on a call the other day. I think I mentioned this to you, Makara. It was mostly with people who work at colleges, so a staff member like me, but we also had some employers on the call as well. And I was so surprised that the employers aren't scared. They aren't nervous about hosting virtual internships. A lot of them, a great number of employers already have work from home infrastructures in place, whether it's a couple days a week,
and if
or
not, they've built it now.
Exactly. No, you're completely right. And so just, understanding that this is a time to adapt and a time to be flexible and to reassess, as you mentioned as well. So I'm glad that someone feels encouraged and hopeful by that as well. And so one of the questions we received is, do you have any recommendations for students navigating the tasks of an internship when an employer has laid off employees? So that's a really good question that we just received. So the tasks of an internship. So typically at the beginning of an internship opportunity, and Makara speak to this as well, you have some projects that are laid out. You communicate clearly with your supervisor about what those projects might be, and really think about what you want to learn from those opportunities. Navigating the tasks of an internship when an employer has laid off employees is something new.
Yeah.
It's something new to consider. I think we want to, what I would say in this type of situation is just to make sure you're communicating. And I know that's one of the most important things about, or aspects of an internship anyway, is making sure there are clear lines of communication. Would you agree with that too, Makara?
Yeah, and I think especially in like that kind of circumstance, you just have to be adaptable and
Yeah.
just know that like we're living in weird times
Yeah.
and things are going to be weird. And so just kind of adjust as you go,
I think
maybe.
that's a
But I
really,
would still set clear standards for yourself, like here's what I want, and I would be very upfront if you don't feel like you're receiving what you're supposed to
yeah.
be.
Yeah. And so, yeah, completely agree. This is a time, we've even talked with faculty about this too, that we're stressing flexibility and adaptability. And so maybe we can, get to this question again. So we mean like wage requirements in a for-profit business. I think that's a great question that I may not have the answer for right off the back. So ethical and legal issue of giving work to paid employees. It's a really good question. So we may have to, as you see these questions come across in the bottom, if anyone's listening that has advice or anything like that for this question, I'm so glad that you all are asking questions. It may be something that we revisit in our future career cares workshops as well, if we don't have an answer right off the bat too. I want to get to a few of the other questions we've received before our talk today. And Makara, I think you can really help with this one too, is how do you ensure that your virtual internship is effective? And so I know your experience, Makara, has been mainly with in-person internships, right? And I think it's, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I even in my first internship had a problem with thinking like, is this internship effective? And it came down for me to just talking to my supervisor, like, here was my expectation. This has not met my
Yeah.
expectation. How do I fix this? And that was for me, like, just going out of my way to do something. So I think it's just about being very open and upfront with your supervisor and what you want out of it.
Yeah, what you want and what you can offer the employer and the company as well too. I think
Yeah.
it's a good time to remind everyone that internships, whether they're paid or unpaid, are structured learning experiences. So the learning is the big thing we want to highlight here. That it shouldn't just be, and maybe this hopefully this will also address maybe one of the questions we have below. It shouldn't just be taking the place of a full-time employee. It shouldn't be just doing menial tasks. You should be learning from it too. And so I think communication, we've stressed a couple of times in this conversation, but making sure that you have everything you need to do the task. I think especially with virtual, making sure there's open conversation about proper technology, and making sure that if you need something that you don't have, that you feel comfortable asking your supervisor for that. Making sure that you have time for one-on-ones. I know Makara is one of the student leaders that I work with. We have meetings once a week, same time every week. It's over Zoom. We see each other, and it's really nice to have that time set to ask questions, to talk about new ideas, to brainstorm. And I think one of the other aspects of internships that's so important is reflection. Makara, you and I have talked a lot about what you've learned in those internship experiences, whether it goes exactly the way you think it's going to, or if it goes a different way, and reassessing. So reflecting on those experiences, analyzing what you liked, disliked, what you learned, and then the synthesis of that. So being able to actually articulate those types of experiences.
Yeah.
What do you think?
One-on-one, I had a supervisor that didn't want to do one-on-ones with me, and I kind of like demanded it. I kind of went out of my way to be like, hey, I really think we should meet. Yeah, it was a very like weird relationship between us. So I just want to make sure and like there's some error and stuff and like, get my expectations in check.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's important, like you said, to stand up for yourself as an intern, and making sure you're getting that chance to really articulate and communicate about what you're learning, and that goes for the future too. So synthesizing these experiences in order to articulate it in an interview or on your resume or on your cover letter, whether you're doing an internship, like I said, for credit or not for credit. Anything else that you feel like would be, I think I know we only have a couple minutes left, Makara, but some of the benefits of a virtual internship, because I don't think we talk about that enough, because so many of the internships we're seeing now are transitioning to virtual internships. I think number one is safety, and making sure that with the nature of the reality of the world right now, that we're keeping each other safe and keeping the population safe, but making sure also that you're learning something new. This might be a new mode of experience or experiential learning for you or for other students. And so I mean, some of you, I know, Makara, we've talked about like, oh, I might intern here over the summer, I might intern in a different place over the summer. Maybe that could still happen even if you're in your home state. Like, is that something you've thought about?
Yeah. Just haven't heard back from those places.
Yeah, and I think we kind of have to have a little bit of grace for that right now too, just because they might still
they don't know what's happening. Yeah, they're all working from home.
Yeah,
timelines are definitely different now.
Yeah. And I think with, when speaking about the benefits, we have to also speak about the drawbacks, and some of the challenges might be that relationship building in certain regards or certain aspects. Is that relationship building over Zoom or over Instagram Live is definitely different than in person, and you don't always have the opportunity just to stop in and, stop in my office and say like, how's your day going? And so being really intentional about those opportunities, and trying to, like, my office, we communicate over Google Hangouts every day, and I'm always like, hi, good morning. We send recipes, we send emojis, we still are getting to know each other and talking about the challenges, but also the opportunities, which I think is nice. So understanding that with those drawbacks, there are still opportunities as well. But thank you all so much for dropping in. These are really, really just like 20-minute chats with you all. And I'm so glad we received questions, and I hope that we can revisit those questions on our other Tuesdays coming up. But yeah, Makara, do you have any kind of final thoughts for us here?
I think it's just like a matter of like reframing like what we think of for summer internships. Because I know for me, like I went in to spring semester being like, I'm going to get a summer internship, period.
Yeah.
And now it may not even be an internship. It may be a structured learning opportunity that I build myself somehow.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
not
yes.
an official internship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think assessing all of the other opportunities that we might have in an online space. So I know that I've been watching more webinars than I've ever seen in my entire life over the last few weeks, and having online meetings. And this is my first Instagram Live with you. So um, the opportunity to learn some new skills, whether it's through online courses or webinars or meetings. I also think for our students, especially in art and design, opportunity to freelance potentially could become more available in the upcoming
that time.
Yes, 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 yes. So if you can't find that internship, as we said, reframing it. I think that's such good advice. And maybe, yeah, maybe it's freelancing, maybe it's a research project, maybe it's collaborating in a different way. Maybe it's building something, building a business, building a project, building a solution. I don't know. And I think I would be missing something if I didn't say also taking time to explore you and yourself and what you want to do in the future and in the changing world too.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, I think that's all that I have right now. The last thing of course, we'd love to say is we're open for business. The CCPD is here to help you. We're here to meet with you. If you're interested in having these types of conversations or other types of conversations, if you need a resume, a cover letter, if you need help with internships, we're here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. And you have virtual drop-in hours too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just sitting here.
So we have appointments that you can make through Pratt Pro or through Handshake. That's prattpro.com. Makara and our other two career advocates, Alex and Avishi, also have virtual drop-in hours, and those are advertised on our website as well. But they happen Tuesday through Friday, so nearly every day. If you need help with an intern, or with a resume or cover letter for an internship potentially too. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate the questions that we received and the feedback. We're looking forward to doing more of these and having other topics such as self-care, entrepreneurship, and other exciting job search related topics as well. So thank you all so much. Thanks, Makara.
Yeah, bye.
All right, bye.